talk about a team that's been struggling, guys. Chicago White Sox, which I thought they were turning the corner. This is shocking news. The Chicago White Sox announced today that Pedro Grifol, has been dismissed as the club's manager.
You lose one game. And this is how they react.
And he is now out. He lost one game after winning a game. And before that, they lost 21 games. No one's keeping track of that.
Nope.
But we are keeping track of since he was hired on November 3rd, 2022. He led the White Sox to an 89 and 190 record over 1+ seasons at the helm, including a 28 and 89 record in 2024. The White Sox will begin a search for the new manager immediately, with a replacement expected to be announced after the conclusion of the 2024 season. That's just right on the White Sox press release. They didn't hold back anything about the stats. You would think that the White Sox would say, hey, we appreciate we wish him the best of luck, we're moving on. They're like, hey, we're, I think leading up there, as we recognize our team's performance this season has been disappointing on many levels, despite the on-field struggles and lack of success. Okay, we appreciate the effort and professionalism of Pedro and the staff brought to the ballpark every day. Okay, so let me rephrase what I was going to say. That's the part I wanted to see. They didn't need to put what the record was at the bottom. Everyone knew that this was a really, really rough stretch for the Chicago White Sox. And now Grady Sizemore, a Cleveland Guardian at the time, Cleveland Indian player, is now going to be the interim for them the rest of the season. Talk about a guy that's talented, fellas, a guy that was just ravaged by injuries in his career. It'll be interesting, but I'll tell you what, in the locker room, it was definitely necessary. There is no sugarcoating this. Pedro lost that locker room, might have been even before spring training started. There was no belief from the beginning. You could tell there was issues last year. And now the White Sox are in this limbo period of, what the hell's happening? And hopefully for Grady, it looks like he's going to get a chance to, try to see what he's got and see if the players can respond and finish strong over this last month and a half. You guys have any thoughts on this White Sox shakeup?
Happy for Grady Sizemore.
Yeah, just get some level of something. Like, they're not winning the World Series, right? Hot take, guys, right? But I feel like if you can establish some level of momentum and the stuff that we've been talking about, it's important because it can start today. And then you can move on. The White Sox, they have a long road ahead of them. But, if Grady Sizemore shows something, if they can get something out of some of these young guys that they have right now, that to me can be really important because it doesn't have to wait. And, this season has been catastrophic for the White Sox, but that doesn't mean that they can't turn something out of it in these final couple of months here as we get down the stretch. I mean, for every team, it's about creating a culture, creating an environment. Like, we know the on-field product isn't going to do anything this season, but I think you can take this and, maybe you have the curse of the Andino moment down the stretch where they can ruin some team's playoff hope, and that gives them some level of confidence and motivation. So, look, the White Sox, they need some work, but I think that can start if they really have a strong end to the season, which again, I don't expect that to be in the win-loss column. I still expect them to lose a lot of games down the stretch, but they can establish something. I think it could be good for them in the long run.
I mean, yeah, they've already lost a lot of games. They're going to lose some more games, but you need something to happen. And I'll tell you this, and Rocket, you can let you get the final word here, is with Pedro, when I talk about moments, you can look at a season, and as a player, just personally, that, look, I never got to the major leagues. I played 8 years professionally, grew up in the game, been around sports my entire life. I think everyone can relate to this. When you feel like your manager has lost touch of the players and their trust is broken, you're done. And for the White Sox, that happened. There was multiple times where you saw Pedro give an interview and him throw the team under the bus. Accountability was tough there. I think, in general. And the team didn't have that belief. And you can say that the roster was not constructed well. Very well could have some holes. You have injuries. Things don't pan out. ELoy was hurt for a while. Then he goes to Baltimore and he's feeling revived. Luis Robert Jr. has disappointed. Garrett Crochet, then he says he doesn't want to get traded unless he has an extension. They didn't get maybe all the pieces back. Everything that's been going wrong for Chicago, it's more than one person. But when your manager loses that kind of respect and trust in the clubhouse, you have to make a move. And quite frankly, I was surprised it was this late. But it seems to be now gives someone a chance to move on and give Grady a fair share to go out there.
I'm shocked that this happened at this point. I mean, I get that they want to see what Grady Sizemore can do. Maybe they thought something needed to happen, but
I think it got to
change.
I think it got to a point where I think that the fact that he did get fired right now is validating my point of it became so bad in that locker room.
Like after 21 straight losses, it didn't get that bad in the locker room or in the clubhouse.
They had to win,
what?
They couldn't fire him mid-streak. You gotta let him get his dub. You gotta let him get his dub. He made that bet. He had to lay in it. Okay, they weren't putting someone else in that situation.
That was a team that was walking. They were the Walking Dead out there. I mean, they're lucky that they were playing the Athletics when they were, honestly, because it could have gotten to Friday, like we were talking about, where you have fireworks night in the White Sox Stadium, and they're setting off fireworks for their historic losing streak. Like, that's how bad it could have gotten. So the fact that the A's came around, they should be thankful right now. But I'm really surprised that it just didn't happen sooner. The fact that they let it go this long is crazy to me.
Yeah, but again, that reinforms you're saying why now. I think that the point is the fact that they are still doing it. I thought it should have been earlier if you're going to make the move. Like, honestly, but now it's just further validating exactly what we're talking about. It became such a problem that you had to move on. And again, I don't know Pedro personally. I like everything. You hope the best for people, but clearly actions are going to speak louder than words. And them making a move like this in this situation after this wasn't like a sour situation where you saw a team have success in the past. And the reason it gets brought up is like, I think of football with the Eagles. Eagles had Doug Peterson, and then you could tell there was friction going on. But Doug won a Super Bowl. The Eagles were a good team. They showed success. Things were going wrong there. They made a change. Chicago, nothing was going right for the last year and a half, almost 2 years. And that was very evident, especially so far this season.
Has literally anything good happened in Chicago since we had that incredible Tim Anderson walk-off in the Field of Dreams game? Like, I feel like that's when it peaked. They were like favorites to win the division. They were that young up-and-coming team. You looked at all the talent. You had Luis Robert. You had ELoy Jimenez. You had Jan Moncado. You had all these guys. And then it was like, it all like came together in that big walk-off win. You had the awesome Sandlot looking video with all the fireworks in the background. And then it just feels like it's been a straight decline since.
I thought you were about to hit the dab for a second.
Been a straight decline since. I hate that that's a clip now.
That's a clip. That's a clip.
Ever since Jose Ramirez took Tim Anderson's soul, they've had some wins strung in there, but there are a lot of L's on that schedule. From the 2023 second half into 2024, it has just been a lot of losing. So that might not have been the turning point per se, but it's a big moment. And you look at what happened after that. It's like, disaster that follows historical events. Like that was a disaster that followed the historical event. Like Tim Anderson getting punched in the face by Jose Ramirez. And a year later, a 21 game losing streak follows in Chicago. So that just in itself is crazy, but there need to be teams lined up at the door of the Chicago White Sox in the offseason. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the meme. It's the cat locked in the building, and it's a guy on the outside going, "I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to get you out of here." That GMs, Mike Elias included, should be on the front steps of that stadium, the front office doors, begging to get Garrett Crochet out of there. Like, he needs to be on a different team. He needs to be on a contender next season. And with a fresh start, innings-wise, where he can work his innings up, work his durability up, stamina, whatever you want to call it, and really be on a contender next season, because he deserves it.
I think we will see Crochet moved in the offseason, but I'll leave it at that. That's just my opinion. But you're right. They got a lot of decisions to make out there in